somehow we're already in August. I don't know how that's happened, because I swear like about 5 minutes ago we were all complaining that January was taking roughly 3 years to end. But here we are. And August for me means one thing. Time for my annual reread of the His Dark Materials and the Books of Dust. I know, you're probably sitting there thinking, didn't you talk about those books already? Yeah, many times. Probably too many times. At this point, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you already know how I feel about those books. I've made videos about them, I've analysed them, I've gone into themes, symbology, characters, why I think they hold up, why I think they're some of the best fantasy ever written. And there's honestly very little left for me to say that already hasn't been said. But that doesn't stop me from rereading them. It's one of those series that just becomes part of my reading year, and it's almost like putting on a favourite film, or listening to an album you've loved for years. You already know what's coming, but that's kind of the point. You notice different details every time, which is also fun. Sometimes it's a character you didn't appreciate enough before, and sometimes it's a tiny bit of foreshadowing that you somehow completely forgot was there. Sometimes it's just Pullman's writing. You forget how effortlessly readable these books are until you pick one up and suddenly you're 50 pages in, and that's where the last few hours went. I also think they're books that change depending on how old you are. When I first read them, I obviously connected with Lyra a lot more, and it was big adventure. Now I think I understand Lord Asriel a lot better, which is slightly uncomfortable, concerning, maybe? Who knows? Not the whole tearing a hole in reality thing, let's not do that, but you start seeing the adults differently, you understand Mrs. Coulter differently, you appreciate the quiet moments a lot more than when you were younger. And you're mostly interested in armoured bears punching things. Although, let's be honest, armoured bears punching things is still fantastic. So yeah, that's become an August into the late summer, early autumn tradition for me. And if you're wondering whether I still think they're amazing, yes, absolutely. I also got some book mail recently, which is nice because it's basically Christmas for readers. Instead of socks, you get books. I received a review copy of The British Agent by Simon Conway. That's how you say his name. I've only just started it, but first impressions are really positive. It's like a proper adventure spy thriller, fast-paced, loads happening, very cinematic. If you're someone who likes The Bourne Identity, that sort of modern thriller where people are chasing things across different countries, conspiracy action scenes, that kind of thing, you'll probably have a really good time with this. One thing I really appreciate though is the pacing. Some thrillers spend the first 500 pages introducing everyone, setting up everything, giving 15 different organizations backstories. This one, you get into it, and sometimes that's exactly what you want. Not every book needs 80 pages of world building. Sometimes you just want someone running across a rooftop while someone else is trying to shoot them. Nothing wrong with that. So I'll definitely have more thoughts on that when I finished it. But so far it's been really enjoyable. Then I decided, because apparently rereading books has become my personality this month, I reread Nod. Now if you've never heard of Nod, please do yourself a favour and look it up. It's one of the most interesting kind of end-of-the-world novels I've read. The premise is very simply, one day most of humanity just stops sleeping. I'm not talking insomnia or struggling to sleep, I mean they literally cannot sleep anymore. The main character is one of the tiny percentage who still can, and it explores what happens if humans suddenly lose the ability to sleep, because sleep isn't optional. Eventually people break, reality starts feeling unstable, society starts collapsing, people become violent and paranoid, completely detached from reality. It's such a fascinating concept because it's not zombies, it's not aliens, it's not a virus, it's just what happens if one of the most basic human functions disappears, and that's terrifying. What makes it even sadder is that this is the author's only novel. He tragically passed away not long after it was published, which is heartbreaking because reading Nod, you can't help but wonder what else he would have written. There's such confidence in the writing. It's weird without becoming inaccessible. It's unsettling without relying on cheap horror. It's one of those books that sticks in your head for a long time after. I've read it several times over the years, and every single reread I come back appreciating it even more. So if you've never heard of it, seriously, add it to your list now. Then apparently, well, I cannot go very long without dragons appearing somewhere in my reading. I reread the original Dragonlance Chronicles. Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Dragons of Winter Night, and Dragons of Spring Dawning. I adore those books. They're just fun. That's probably the best word for them, they're fun. I think sometimes fantasy gets obsessed with being dark and morally grey, and everybody has to be traumatized, and every kingdom has to be secretly evil, and every plot twist has to emotionally destroy you. Sometimes you just want a bunch of adventurers wandering around dealing with monsters, dragons, and whatever. That's okay, these books are exactly what they are. They're classic fantasy adventure. Yes, they started life connected to D&D, but I genuinely think you don't need to know anything about D&D to enjoy them. I'm certainly know people who've never rolled a dice in their lives who absolutely love these books. They're just really entertaining. They've got memorable characters, great locations, dragons, magic, heroes and villains. Everything you would expect from classic fantasy. And I have to mention the covers, because these little trade paperbacks I got, they're gorgeous. I'm a sucker for nice covers anyway, I freely admit that. But I mean, these are just genuinely brilliant, and I'm definitely the target audience for this type of thing. But the covers look fantastic. They're also the sort of books you want on your shelf because they actually look like fantasy books, which is something really satisfying about seeing trilogy lined up like that. I know there are more in them, but I always go back to the first three more than the others. Finally, and this one was completely random, I started rereading the original Secret Circle books by L.J. Smith. I have no idea, absolutely no idea what made me suddenly think, I know, I fancy reading a 90s YA supernatural fiction thing. But here they are, and sometimes your brain just decides things. You don't question it, you go with it. And honestly, they're very enjoyable, they're very, very 90s. And you can absolutely tell when they were written, and I don't mean that as criticism, there's something really charming about them. They're quite light, easy to read, they don't pretend to be anything they're not. The easiest comparison would be somewhere between The Vampire Diaries and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They've got this whole supernatural teen drama going on. There was a TV show that was very good as well, witches instead of vampires this time, right? And it's just fun. Again, that's a word I keep coming back to, fun. Not every book has to fundamentally alter your worldview. Sometimes you just want something entertaining. Sadly, L.J. Smith also recently passed away, which makes picking up these books bittersweet because she had a huge impact on me as a kid and as a teenager. She kind of started the whole thing. I used to devour her books from car boot sales and charity shops. Whether people realise it or not, a lot of what came after owes something to these books. So it will finally be nice spending time with her work. Looking back over everything I've been reading, I seem to have accidentally created a month of rereads with 1 or 2 new books thrown in. Apparently my comfort reading instincts have taken over. And honestly, I'm perfectly happy with that. Sometimes you don't want to discover a new book, you want to revisit an old favourite. I think that's a good way to put it. Worlds where we feel safe. And you know you're going to enjoy it. There's no risk involved. You're just meeting old friends, it's familiar, it's relaxing. And constantly just considering everything else in the world, sometimes we all need that occasionally. Anyway, that's what I've been reading recently. Let me know what you've been reading. So let me know in the comments. What have you discovered anything new? Have you been rereading old favourites? Have you picked up something that really has been sitting on your shelf for 6 years, giving you dirty looks every time you walk past? Have you finally read it? Because I think we all have those books, don't we? Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment, because all that lovely YouTube stuff genuinely helps this channel. Hype this video too. And if you'd like early access to videos, ad-free content, exclusive videos and members-only podcasts, then do check out my channel memberships and Patreon. It really does help support this channel and keep everything going. I've been Darth James, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.